Good afternoon, listeners, and welcome to our podcast, At the Edge of the Unknown. That was a clip from Hampus Nicelius called Breaking Through the Gate, downloaded from Epidemic Sound. And today's subject is on the origin of California in legend and in history. I'll be referencing the following works: the book California, An Interpretive History by James Rawls and Bean Walton; Conquest, Montezuma, Cortez, and the Fall of Old Mexico by Hugh Thomas; Phantom Islands of the Atlantic, The Legends of the Seven Lands That Never Were. It's an interesting title, right? That's by Donald Johnson. Jeffrey Ash's Land to the West, St. Brendan's Voyage to America. The Great Ages of Man, The Age of Exploration by John Hale. Mysterious Celtic Mythology and American Folklore by Dr. Bob Curran. America's Fascinating Indian Heritage through Reader's Digest. Also, Fred and Patty Smoot, their website Californios, A People and a Culture. Diana Aguirre's Hernan Cortez Expeditions to the Californias from the San Jose Historic District Guide as well. And finally, a quote from Peter O'Toole from Man from La Mancha, a United Artists film from 1972, based on Miguel de Cervantes, right, the author of Don Quixote. So let's get into it. How much do we really know about the origins of California? Well, California has existed for ages and has witnessed much, from waves beating relentlessly upon the western shores to invaders encroaching from the east. From ships bearing down upon the coastlines to wagons bearing goods with which to trade and create settlements, and from the first days it peered above the ocean and stretched towards the heavens, California has experienced peace, war, subjugation, and progress. From time immemorial, it has both quaked and shook with pain and produced great bounty. So much of the food that it has produced from one coastline to another is grown and harvested upon its land. California, the essence of this land of mosaic climates and topography, with the myriad species of animals and plants dwelling within its boundaries, both sentient and unconscious, also has a strange and mysterious origin, both in legend and in history. Now, how did California come to be? Scientific theories exist, like plate tectonics, and the conclusion may be drawn that California is relatively new as far as the history of the world goes. However, the legend of how California was created and how it came to be named and settled is, in my opinion, much more fascinating. And let's face it, we all know that California can be a very odd place with very strange goings-on, so its origin could quite possibly be strange also. Weird recognizes weird, and strange recognizes strange, right? Well, the Hoopa people of Northwest California, for instance, believed that the world had always existed as it now was, and that the human race simply sprung up into being. Now, the Hoopas and the other tribes believed that spirits dwelt in the mountains, in the trees, the caves, and the boulders. To them, the land itself, as well as the vegetation, was inhabited by living spirits, if not itself alive. Now, long before California was one of the largest economies in the world, there was the Age of Discovery and Conquest. It was an age of exploration and subjugation, and European curiosity regarding the native inhabitants combined with contempt at their, according to the interpretations of the invading forces, seemingly savage and uncivilized ways. According to Hugh Thomas in his exhaustive text, and I've read it, Conquest, Montezuma, Cortez, and the Fall of Old Mexico, Hernan Cortez, the conqueror of the Aztec Empire, discovered and named California, presumably after Queen Calafia, who figured in one of the then fashionable romances. Interesting, right? So Cortez, in his fourth Carta del Ración, a letter to King Charles I, dated Tenochtitlan, New Spain, on October 15th, 1524, wrote, and I quote, "And in the same manner I was brought a story from the man of the province of Cihuatlan, which reinforced completely that there is an island populated by women without a single male." Imagine that, right? Quite interesting. We know where we're going with this, right? And he continues, "And that this island is 10 days' journey from this province, and that many of them have gone there and have seen it. They tell me also that it is very rich in pearls and gold. I will prepare myself to know the truth and tell it at length to your majesty." So the account of Cortez has similarities to the legend of Queen Calafia. According to a website, Californios, A People and a Culture, the name California was first used in a Spanish romance novel, Las Sergas de Esplandian, by Garcia Ordóñez de Montalvo. Montalvo's book was published in 1510 and is said to contain references to an island called California. Know that on the right hand of the Indies there is an island called California, very close to the side of the terrestrial paradise, and it is peopled by black women without any man among them, for they live in the manner of the Amazons. So it's like Themyscira from Wonder Woman. Interesting, right? But populated with ladies of African descent, so rather than Greek. So California was erroneously portrayed as an island by early cartographers, and according to Fred and Patty Smoot from that previously mentioned website, they said for many years the error was copied from map to map. Now this is further explained by Donald Johnson in his book, Phantom Islands of the Atlantic, The Legend of the Seven Lands That Never Were. He writes that in the Age of Discovery, the inability to determine longitude caused some non-existent islands to appear on early maps, while other geographic fallacies were created by cartographers in their attempt to reconcile widely disparate accounts of discoveries. So, as a result of one of those errors, the land of California received its name, similar to the naming of the West Indies, right? The naming of the indigenous people is Indians, and in the 1570s, California was still believed to have been an island, as Francis Drake, setting out from Panama, cast well out to the west before turning north, and so was unable to disprove the common belief that California was an island. Now, mystery has always been alluring, and a land as vast and varied as California, it is pretty big, and it is very varied, interesting words, right, has enticed many with its legends and its myths. Indeed, it could be said that without legends, the curiosity that compels the daring souls to explore and discover would be at best lessened. The fires thereof extinguished or never lit at all. Lost or mysterious islands were a staple in the Age of Discovery and Conquest, and whether they were legend or fact, Jeffrey Ashe in his book, Land to the West, St. Brendan's Voyage to America, writes, "A legend may not be a record of facts, but the existence of a legend is itself a fact and requires an explanation." I like to quote this or paraphrase it quite a bit whenever I say, a legend may not be a fact, but that the legend exists is a fact, and that requires an explanation. So it's a take on Jeffrey Ashe's quote in that book, St. Brendan's Voyage to America. Now, in his book, Mysterious Celtic Mythology and American Folklore, Dr. Bob Curran writes, "For centuries, legends and tales of lost kingdoms somewhere near at hand have fascinated and intrigued travelers throughout the world. And from the tale of Queen Calafia that enchanted the readers of Montalvo's Las Sergas de Esplandian to its modern incarnation, California continues to pique the interest of the curious, the people and the land, and every aspect of life within the borders of this fascinating state. Being a second-generation Californian myself and a third-generation American on my mom's side, it is an interesting place, and it's my home. I know that recent events have caused not a mass exodus, but a fairly large one out of the state. But I love this place. I don't always agree with everything going on, but this is my state, right? So, the people and the land reflect in one another at their best, an unconquerable spirit that drives progress, and a compassionate and indomitable will that seeks the betterment of others, even as the people and the wildlife and the land follow their own course through history. And much has been written in the history and legends of California, but there is a lot to be told still a long way to go. And the search for an explanation to legends such as the land of Queen Calafia, it's always been a major contributing factor to discovery. The quest to quench curiosity. And so we turn the pages of history backwards from the Age of Discovery and Conquest to the romance of the Middle Ages to discover yet more about the mystery of California. The search for the true California can be likened to the search for the Holy Grail. It's not one likely to ever be finished, but rather a process. Even as the word grail has its roots in the word gradalis, meaning by degrees, so too do modern Californians seek to grow and progress, many times at great personal cost. The questions posed in the epic Grail quest still apply. What is the secret of the Grail, and whom does the Grail serve? Well, a better California is sought by most of its inhabitants, from progress to progress, from freedom to freedom, by degrees. What better time than now when the economy has taken a drastic downturn and morale is low to take up that quest, to seek out the Grail and heal the Fisher King and restore this land? Now, as is common and consistent throughout history, present generations will be judged by the ones that follow us, hopefully based upon our actions, judged by our dedication to the ideals that we espouse. Perhaps the quest of Californians has always been a quixotic one, impractical, but maybe chivalrous and romantic. Perhaps our quest is one that's doomed to failure. Perhaps it's one of insanity. Still, we Californians dust off our armor and mount our noble horse, Rocinante, and remember the words of the character Cervantes in the film version of Man of La Mancha. Peter O'Toole in that role says this: "When life itself seems lunatic, who knows where madness lies? To surrender dreams, this may be madness. To seek treasure where there is only trash. Too much sanity may be madness. And maddest of all, to see life as it is and not as it should be." And so, even as this tale and our journey of discovery, this quest for enlightenment ends, at least this part of it, so too does yours, the listeners, begin. And so may it ever be. Thank you for joining us on this episode at the Edge of the Unknown.